Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your host and producer, Logan Landers. And joining me to talk about this very special player. We're talking about the offensive tackle coming out of South Dakota State, Garrett Greenfield, helping me break this player down, talk about him, analyze him, and where we think he will land, how he think he will do in the NFL. As always, our guy, William Yanish. How you doing this afternoon, sir?
I'm definitely doing good.
Good. Glad to hear, man. Glad to hear. Well, before we give it over to you and you can give your thoughts and analysis on this young man you see up here on the screen, if you enjoyed the video, everyone give a like, follow, share, and subscribe on our social media platforms on Facebook and YouTube, main two ones there. But you are in luck. You can also check us out if you're a fan of podcasts. We're available on every podcast platform you can think of, thanks to the Believe Podcast Network. So, Mr. Yanish, I'm going to give you the ball, sir. You're heading off like a running back. Give us your thoughts on this big man up front, Garrett Greenfield, coming out of South Dakota State.
Oh man, I went to jump into this one the other day when I saw his name on there, and just get to know exactly who this who this guy was, and I mean, as soon as I first thing I find out is jumping, setting a combine record at uh, a 38 and a half inch vertical. Um, and at 6'6", 311 pounds. I mean that's one pretty athletic dude, and the coming from a small school, South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits. That's I mean just a great mascot. But he also had an outstanding 40 time of 5.522 seconds. So I'm not quite sure what to do with that information between that and the vertical. I mean, maybe he was doing his best to emulate a jackrabbit, Um, anyway, this kid's been up there for a while. He's been starting. Um, I had noticed his quarterback a few months ago, Mark Gronowski, and I had watched a little bit of film on them, deciding if I thought it was worth doing a evaluation on. And but now I get this guy, and it's a 2-year starter there at South Dakota State. One thing that really stuck out about him is it was, I could almost see this guy playing defense, like like a three technique, and a 4-3 defense or something like that. It was kind of one of those things I saw a lot in this player. He's a long, rangy, a big dude, and I mean, and he keeps, he kept Gronowski up, and had time to scramble, had time to throw, had time to, make plays. And I mean, just seeing that from one of these and just coming over from talking about a show with 49ers needs, I mean, I feel this is a guy that they could get, on their uh, somewhere in the middle of rounds, I mean, NFL draft, mock draft database didn't even, hadn't even heard of him yet. But now that the combine was here, I mean, this kid, I mean, he did everything he could to try to get some attention, towards him. And I mean, he is. I don't know how to say it. He's got a mean streak to him, and the quickness, and when he is playing, I mean he controls. I mean, what is in front of him, and um, like I said, definitely the starter deal. He's got good lateral movements. He doesn't let too many speed rushers get around him. I really wish I could have seen him over the top of some better competition, just to see exactly what kind of, on film, it looks like he has, good strength, but, I mean, that is one thing that definitely, stands out about him. I mean, I think he can be, work his way in somewhere and provide, depth to a team, at a great value, towards, the lower rounds on the draft. I'm still trying to figure out, what they're exactly feeding these kids. I mean, every year they're popping up this big, they've got like, Luke Musgrave last year, and I mean, this guy, and I mean, this guy just, same frame, just bigger version of him, just with some more weight and, an offensive tackle. I mean, that's not a whole lot from what that kid is. I mean, he just kind of reminded me of that, and I don't know, man. Besides that, the few things that I could dig up and watch some film on him, I mean, I think he just needs to be able to get a chance, and somebody just, needs to do some work on him and, let him, give him some attention.
No, I mean you're not wrong. When you watch this guy, Garrett Greenfield, you see him on the screen. Like you mentioned, William, he ain't missing any meals. Big guy, over 6'6", 6'7", well over 300, a little bit over 300 pounds. So I mean, he's already got the NFL build. That means you don't have to worry about getting any more weight. Just have to worry about always get more muscle. That's always something you can always add on to. But when you look at him, you mentioned the impressive combine record he set with that vertical jump. He was also explosive too. He's got really good speed for a guy his size, which is pretty crazy to watch. And you mentioned obviously with South Dakota State being an FCS program, that they're not going to get the same type of attention and coverage as an FBS school would. That's just how it rolls. But we know the dominance that this school has had over the past handful of years, right? And this guy has been a big factor in helping them. During his time at South Dakota State, Willem, I'm sure you know, but he won 2 national championships in a row, let people out there know. Also helped his teammates rush for over 5,000 yards and amassed 70 touchdowns in 2 seasons. He's also gotten 3 All-American he's been an All-American 3 times throughout his tenure there. And the guy's just a workhorse, right? And I think it's just kind of a shame because I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if this was any other draft year where it wasn't as offensive guard heavy, because we already know there's a handful of really talented offensive linemen who are going to be picked early on, we would definitely be talking more about Garrett Greenfield as more of an earlier round pick than opposed to a middle round, potential late round pick. Because he is a very, very good player. I think that he is going to excel in the pass blocking game. It's going to be a little bit rougher for him for the run blocking because we know I think it's just because of his size alone. It's not because of a skill issue. It's just because, I mean, he's a tall guy. There's nothing he can really do about that. It's just hard for him to get a little bit lower in the run blocking game. But he is solid there as well. But I think that, especially with the way that the NFL is looking nowadays, with it being a very much pass-heavy league, that this guy is going to get to work. I don't know if he's going to be in a system where he's initially going to be a starter. I'm not sure if a team's going to give him that chance. I would love to see that. But if not, watch for this guy to come in. Garrett Greenfield, watch for him to come in on substitutions, third down plays perhaps, and really make it work on your offensive line. He rarely gives up quarterback pressures, rarely gives up sacks. That he's dominant in the pass blocking game, I should say, and he's solid in the run blocking game. I think overall, I think Garrett Greenfield could be a guy who, if you're not watching him, if you're not looking at these schools in the FCS, you're definitely missing out on a potential hot commodity come the 2024 NFL Draft. Mr. Yanish, your final thoughts on Garrett Greenfield, offensive tackle out of South Dakota State.
Well, with a vertical higher than Keon Coleman and just short of Oregon receiver Troy Franklin, I mean, that's pretty. I think this guy could, find some kind of, need for him in the NFL. you can put him up to something, I mean, I think he can make it if he works hard enough at it.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be checking him out and wishing him the best in his success. And just a little bit over a month, about a month and 15, 16 days, I believe. And it's going to be a fun time seeing where this guy goes. But I would love to see him on my team. I know you would love to see him on yours. But we will see how the dice rolls and where he lands in the NFL draft. Well, guys, once again, if you enjoy this video, give us a like, follow, share, and subscribe on Facebook and on YouTube, of course. And you can always check us out on our podcast each and every single week. For our guest today, Mr. William Yanish, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's always a pleasure talking some ball with you. I've been your host and producer, Logan Landers, guys. Go watch some game film. Go get your draft boards ready. And we'll talk to y'all again on another